Wadia, you have all the best knowledge, and you're an anthropologist, you're a historian, you're a very special person here in Tunisia. Tell me about this wonderful Roman ruin that we happen to be standing in.
This is Utica, and it's the first Phoenician settlement in North Africa, but the Roman town was founded here, let's say at the beginning of the 2nd century AD.
That long ago, and it still stands with these beautiful tiles.
Absolutely. So it was all covered, and we needed to excavate to find these treasures, let's say.
And what was it covered with? Was it covered with sand and grass?
Sand and grass, like all the region around. So if we need to excavate, we need to excavate something like minimum 2 meters deep to find these ruins of Utica.
But this is typical, really, of a lot of ruins that you've discovered within the country that have to be excavated. So you really don't know what's underneath the earth here.
You don't know. You know the period. Yes, it's Roman, this is Phoenician, this is Byzantine, but you need to excavate to find, to understand what's there, it's public or private monument.
Right, but how do you define what's Roman and what's Phoenician? I mean, what defines it?
Actually, first of all, it's easy to distinguish between Phoenician and Roman, different cultures, different plans, the mosaic, for example, when we find the mosaic, it's always Roman, in Tunisia at least. And what we're talking about Phoenician and Roman, Phoenician is always deeper than the Roman.
Really?
So, because the Phoenicians were here first,
right,
and then it's destroyed, and then all covered, and then the Romans or Roman period new town was always founded on the Phoenician one.
I see.
This is number one sign to distinguish Roman from Phoenician.
You know what someone once told me in Spain?
What?
The Romans are everywhere.
That's true.
They seem to go everywhere.
That's true. All these towns were either destroyed during the wars by Romans, especially the 3 Punic Wars, or others were destroyed later or abandoned by the Phoenicians, and new towns, Roman period, of course, were founded on ruins of the Phoenician ones. So always you find the Phoenician under the Roman level, lower than the Roman town.
Right, because they were there first. No matter where you go in the country, there's always, a Roman, a Venetian, there's something going on, and it's like the energy of the country.
With time, these towns were abandoned, of course, and people moved to other towns. Maybe they founded new towns, of course, and they used all these abandoned monuments, either private houses or public monuments, as quarries. So they moved the sandstone blocks especially to build new monuments in different towns. And the basements of these buildings, houses especially, were with time covered, were buried, naturally buried.
So this would be equivalent to a basement?
This is a basement of a house, Roman
Except
house.
It's very fancy, especially with the tile floors, you see.
Absolutely. It's naturally, or thanks to the nature, of course, it was preserved to us. And we found a very large and beautiful collection of Roman mosaics in these 2 houses.
As hot as it is or humid as it is.
Right.
And, they think of everything. I think that's really amazing to me.
It's not only that. In these houses, the walls, or some walls, let's say, of some rooms, were covered with marble, thick marble from 2 centimeters to 3-4 centimeters. So inside, outside walls, it's proof, of course, that it was very rich family living in this side of the town, of course, or many families. So the walls were covered with marble too. So the floor with mosaics,
right, and
the wall with marble inside, outside wall.
It's just amazing, and the size of the stones. I mean, and the thickness of the walls. So talk about soundproofing. It's not like today when you can punch through the walls. Here you have this incredible structure that, to me, I'm just fascinated by the history of this country, and Tunisia is an incredible place where people can come and learn about the civilization of the world, and I think that's so fantastic.
That's true, and many people forget that Utica was close to the sea. Now it is about 8 miles far from seaside, but there was a harbor in Utica. So humidity was a real problem too. That's why the walls are thick, and they were covered inside and outside.
Now, how did they fill in the land? Is that what you're saying? And you said that this was a harbor at one point?
At one point, yes, it was a harbor, but it was naturally covered. Of course, it took almost 1,000 years. And it's because of the main river, during the Cru period, the river, the water pushed
the land out.
the land and covered all the bay of Utica.
I see.
And now it is 8 miles far
so
from
it's
the
like
side.
a fill-in, like people do fill-ins nowadays.
Right.
But you know, another interesting thing is you're going to show us how they use their water and from their wells. So
that's
why do
the
we
curious, because we find we are in this, I mean, this house is called the Capital Houses.
Yeah.
And we discovered here a well that was used from that time, 2nd century
Amazing,
AD until now.
Amazing.
And fresh water, you can taste fresh water.
Yeah. I want to have that experience of the well. I want to really discover what how they lived. Can you show us the well?
Sure, please,
Great.
this way.
I'm going to actually drop the bucket below for the spring water. I feel like a farmer.
Oh, watch this, you. Yes.
Oops.
Okay.
You can tell I've never done this before. I think I'm going to quit.
This is what carved those
Ridges.
yeah, especially this one. It's deepest. You see,
And
so it's
this is
over-
marble, isn't it?
It's limestone.
Oh, limestone. That's why it's so soft.
Right.
Yeah, limestone is very soft, but it's lasted a long time.
Oh, yes.
That's what's so amazing.
Oh, yeah. You see how clean the water is?
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Very clean.
The clarity of the water is amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And it's very cold.
And it's spring water. yeah.
It's spring water, yes.
Yeah.
The
So
spring
it's-
is about 2 miles far from here.
So it's cold all the time because of its underground and
No, what it is, very cold. The weather is cold here. It is warmer. And summertime, it's much colder than now.
really?
Yes.
Oh.
Because it's clay, the land around is clay,
Right.
and it's well covered.
I
Absolutely.
mean, I'm just so impressed by the fact that it's still preserved after all these centuries. It's amazing. And look at these tiles.
You see, this is fishing mosaic.
Exactly, because they were near the sea, so fish was a natural
Right.
for them.
The waves, you can see the waves, the octopus, of course. Some mosaics, or the mosaics in general, were, covered the floors and people walked on mosaics.
I see this is embossed here. I don't know what that is.
It's an emblem, it's the symbol. That's it's similar, let's say, to the wheat. So that's symbol of this town. These tessera here, the square ones. So it's like the tiles, first the tiles, as you call them, the tessera. This is, in general, limestone or terracotta.
Right.
And they are vertical. Roman mosaics in Tunisia started from 1st century AD and ended with the Roman period, of course, at the end of the 400s AD. And actually, these mosaics that covered the floors of private houses, the floors of temples and public monuments, became a very important document for us to know the details of life, of beliefs, of traditions, of clothes and techniques used in different regions, in agriculture, the kind of handicrafts they practice, of course. And notice one thing, you see the mosaic, the green of the mosaic.
That's
the sea. Why is it green down here and up there it's white? Especially in Utica, it depends on seasons and the depth of the water. Can give the impression of the green color, the white color, or the blue, which is the more common, of course, that Mediterranean blue. The Phoenician town of Utica was never destroyed by Romans, never. And when Carthage was destroyed, automatically Utica became the capital of the first Roman province until 12 AD. The residence of the Roman governor was here, this town. Like a deal they made with Romans. You use our harbor, never destroyed us. The same thing for the Third Punic War. So this is a cemetery, or one of the graves we discovered in the Phoenician cemetery, dating from 6th century BC. And we found the bones of a little girl. She was 18 years old when she died. That mosaic, or those tiles are much lower quality than this one.
Right, okay.
So people sit around this tea and could see this colorful
Right, okay.
marble.
So it's like a carpet.
We are so lucky. Until next week, I'm Jon Haggins, the GlobeTrotter. Remember, get up, get out, and travel.